बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम। तो आज की इस वीडियो में हम ये सी सेम में जो मतलब आए हैं उनसे बात करने वाले हैं आज एक दफ़ा फिर से। तो फिर चलिए बगैर टाइम ज़ाय किए वीडियो को शुरू करते हैं। हेलो, हाउ आर यू?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind today?
Yes, so I just want to ask you a few questions about the word wow. So let's go. Okay, so first question is that what does the word wow actually mean?
A vow is basically a solemn promise. It's more intense than just saying, I'll do it. It's a commitment you make, often to yourself, a deity, or another person that carries a lot of weight. Usually, there's a feeling that if you break it, there are some pretty serious consequences, at least emotionally. Do you think there's a big difference between a vow and a regular promise?
Uh, okay, so another question is that where did the word wow originate?
It comes from the old French word "vœu," which itself traces back to the Latin "votum." In Latin, votum meant a promise to a god, sort of a spiritual contract. It's funny how it started as something strictly religious and evolved into how we talk about marriage or personal commitments today. I wonder if you've ever heard of a vow of silence.
Okay, so another question is that when was the word wow first used in English?
It's hard to pin down an exact date, but it showed up in English around the 13th century. It was brought over by the Normans after they invaded England in 1066, which is how we got all that French influence in our language. I bet you could imagine how messy that transition was.
Okay, so another question is that who is believed to have first used the word wow?
Since it's a word that evolved from Latin and Old French, there isn't one specific person who can be credited with inventing it. It was more of a gradual shift in how people spoke. It's like how we use slang today. Nobody really knows who said the first okay. It just catches on until everyone's using it. Do you think words usually start with one person or just sort of appear?
So the next question is that was the word wow always an expression of surprise?
Wait, are you talking about vow as in a promise or wow as in the expression of surprise? I think you might have misheard me or the transcription just swapped them. But if you mean wow, then yeah, that's a completely different animal than a vow.
I'm asking that was the word wow always an expression of surprise?
Actually, no. It's a relatively new word in the way we use it. For a long time, wow was just an imitation of a sound people make when they're shocked, kind of like an exclamation, rather than a formal word you'd find in a dictionary. It didn't really become a standardized expression of surprise until the early 20th century. There's a bit of a theory that it might have come from the word whoa, which people used to slow down horses, but eventually it just became the go-to sound for my mind is blown. Do you think we have enough words for surprise, or do we just make up sounds for them?
Okay, so another question is that is the word wow considered an official word in dictionaries?
If you mean wow, then absolutely. It's in every major dictionary. But if you're asking about vo specifically, that's a
No,
very
no,
different story. That's actually the name of a.
I was asking about
My bad,
wow.
I'll stop. Got it. Wow. That's definitely not something you see every day. Are you looking at it from a linguistics angle, or did you just stumble across it?
Okay, so the next question is that how has the meaning of the word wow changed over time?
Since wow isn't a standard English word, it turns out wow is a bit of a chameleon. Depending on where you are in the world, it means completely different things. In Malaysia, it's actually a traditional kite, which is pretty cool because they're these huge, intricate things. But in South Sudan, wow refers to a river and is even the name of a city. It can also be a pronoun in Hawaiian or just a quick way of saying, "What about you?" in a text. Since it's so varied, I'm curious if any of those actually match what you were thinking of.
Okay, so the next question is that is the word wow used in every English speaking country?
No, not at all. Since wa isn't actually a standard English word, it's not used across English speaking countries. You only really find it if you're talking about those specific cultures or using it as a text abbreviation. I'm wondering if you're seeing this word in a specific book or something.
Okay, so the next question I just wanna ask you is that is saying wow a universal human behavior?
That's a fascinating way to look at it. I'd say yes in spirit. While the exact sound might change, some people might say, oh, or wow, or something else entirely. The act of making a sound when you're shocked or impressed is pretty much a human universal. It's that instinctive reaction where your brain just needs to let something out. Do you think some people are naturally more wow than others?
Okay, so the next question is that what are some similar expressions to wow in English?
Assuming you mean wow again. There are a ton of options. You've got the classics like oh my god or whoa, and then more casual ones like no way or I can't believe it. If you're feeling a bit more old school, you might even hear good heavens, although that's a bit rare these days. Which one of those do you use the most when you're actually surprised?
So the next question is that how do people express surprise without using words?
Oh, there's so many ways. You've got the classic wide eyes and a drop jaw, or maybe just a sharp intake of breath that says everything before you even open your mouth. Some people freeze completely, while others might actually jump or gasp. It's funny how our bodies just take over when the brain is trying to catch up with what's happening. I wonder if you're more of a freeze person or a jump person when you're surprised.
Uh, how has social
Take your
media changed
time.
the use of word wow?
It's definitely shifted the energy. Now we have wow as a reaction button or a GIF, which is a lot faster than actually typing it out. It's kind of turned it into a shorthand for I acknowledge this is surprising rather than a genuine gut reaction gasp. Plus, you see it used sarcastically way more often now, like when someone posts something totally predictable and you just reply with a dry wow. Do you feel like it's like lost some of its punch because we see it so often online?
The next question is that why do people sometimes say wow with extra letters?
It's all about the emotion. When you see woo or wow dubbed, it's basically the digital version of stretching out the word when you're speaking. Since we can't hear tone or volume in a text, adding extra letters is the only way to show that the surprise is actually huge and not just a polite acknowledgement. It's like trying to inject a bit of volume and excitement into a flat screen. Do you find yourself doing that when you're really hyped about something?
What role does tone of voice play when saying wow?
I think we might have a little transcription glitch again since we've been talking about the
What
word
role?
wow. Did you
Uh,
mean?
what what role does the tone of voice play when saying the word wow?
Oh, that's a really specific and interesting angle. It completely changes the meaning. If you hit a high, powerful note, it sounds like pure amazement or victory. But if it's a slow, descending tone, it could sound like disappointment or even a little bit of irony. It turns a simple word into a whole emotional story. I bet it's all about how the singer wants the audience to feel in that exact second. Do you sing or Are you just thinking about how artists use it?
Can one word like wow have many meanings depending on the context?
Absolutely. It's a perfect example of how context is everything. You could say, wow, because you just saw a magic trick and you're genuinely floored. Or you could say it when someone tells you they're 5 minutes late for the third time this week, and it's actually just a polite way of saying, really? The meaning shifts from pure awe to total sarcasm in a heartbeat based on who you're talking to and what just happened.
So the next question is that why do movies and TV shows often use the word wow?
It's such a reliable tool for writers because it's a quick way to communicate a character's reaction to the audience without needing a whole page of dialogue. It's a shorthand that everyone understands instantly, whether the character is seeing a beautiful landscape for the first time or discovering a shocking secret. It's basically the easiest way to signal this is a big moment without over explaining. Do you think it's become a bit of a cliche in scripts, or does it still work for you?
Are there famous quotes that include the word wow?
Let me see if I can find some. It's actually kind of rare to find a standalone wow quote that's etched in history books. Most of the time it's used as a reaction in the moment, so it doesn't always make it into a formal famous quote list. But Marissa Mayer, the former CEO of Yahoo, has a great one about those wow, I'm not really sure I can do this moments that lead to breakthroughs. And of course, you've got the entire World of Warcraft community, though that's more of a game title than a quote. Do you usually look for quotes to inspire you, or are you just curious about how the word is used?
Can the word wow be used in formal conversations?
Definitely. It's actually very common in formal settings, especially when talking about legal commitments, marriage, or religious ceremonies. In those contexts, it's much more appropriate than saying promise because it implies a level of seriousness and permanence that a regular promise just doesn't have. I wonder if you think using a word like vow makes a commitment feel more real to you?
What are some situations where saying wow feels natural?
Usually it's any situation where the stakes are high. Weddings are the obvious one, since those are the ultimate life vows. But it also feels natural when someone's making a massive personal commitment, like a vow of poverty in a monastery, or even a vow of silence if they're going through a spiritual retreat. It can even be a bit dramatic in a movie when a character says, I vow to get revenge, which probably wouldn't feel right if they just said, I promise to get revenge. Does that sound like the kind of intensity you were thinking of?
What are the some is wow appropriate in professional settings?
Generally, no. It's usually way too intense for a typical office environment. Telling your boss, I vow to finish this report by Friday, sounds a bit like you're in a medieval drama or starting a secret society. In a professional setting, promise, commit, or guarantee are much more natural. The only time it might work is in a very high level formal oath, like when a president or a judge is sworn in. Do you usually prefer to keep things strictly professional, or do you like to add a bit of flair to how you talk?
Can the word wow help expressing appreciation?
Totally. It's a great way to show that you're not just thankful, but actually impressed. Like if someone gives you a gift you didn't expect and you lead with a wow, thank you, it tells them that the effort they put in really landed. Turns a simple thank you into a genuine moment of awe. Do you think the wow makes a compliment feel more sincere?
So the final and the last question I just wanna ask you is that if you could invent a new word for surprise, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a fun challenge. I'd go with something like zillow. It's got that sharp zillow sound that feels like a sudden spark, but the up at the end makes it sound a bit like a bubble popping. To me, it just feels like that exact moment when something totally unexpected happens and your brain just resets. Plus, it's distinct enough that you wouldn't confuse it with a regular word. I'm curious, if you had to invent one, what would it sound like?
Okay, so today it was nice talking to you. So I will talk to you later. For now, goodbye. तो आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही था। अगर आप लोगों को ये वीडियो पसंद आए तो इस वीडियो को लाइक करना मत भूलिएगा, चैनल को भी सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिएगा इसी से रिलेटेड वीडियोस देखने के लिए। तो आज की इस वीडियो में इतना ही था। मिलते हैं आपसे नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़।